Is it going live yet? Yes,
Broadcast
we
live.
are live. So fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me, Claire.
Thank you for
I
having me.
am going to have a very quick check to see whether we are actually streaming live. Oh, look, it says, according to my phone, that we are streaming live in LinkedIn, which is amazing because if anybody was with us 2 weeks ago and I had the great Nick Clark, who is an IT expert, we had a few IT issues. And, not blaming Nick, he is an IT wizard, but I'm not. So there we go. So hopefully everyone can see us. Yeah, I'm checking again. It's saying that we're live. So brilliant. Right, I digressed. Welcome, Claire, and welcome everyone to the LinkedIn Live, the first one of September. That sounds quite scary, September already. And for anyone that's listened to these before, it's just a very informal chat with fellow business owners, just to get to know the person behind the business, because we all have, LinkedIn accounts or social media accounts. We go to networking and people look at the title or your job title or your business title, and there's always so much more to it than how we've actually got to be doing what we're doing. So I'd love to sort of just understand a little bit more about the person behind the business as well as the business themselves. So thank you very, very much, Claire, for coming on and chatting with me today. So if anybody is listening live, please just drop me a name in the comments. And if you've got any questions at all, again, drop them in the comments. And since I now have learned how to get the comments onto the screen, it's my new skill. We can address those. Or if you're listening on replay as well, then drop them in the comments and we will come back and address them. So without further ado, I'm going to come over to you, Claire. And what I just really like to know is just a little bit more about yourself and what led you to the career that you currently have. It's just fascinating to hear the twists and turns in people's stories, and just hear more about you. So over to you.
So I left school and studied travel and tourism, wanting to be an air hostess. But
oh, right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. But that was back in the day where you had to be a certain height without shoes on to be able to reach the overhead lockers. You had to be, your weight and height had to be in proportion. And my BMI was too high and I was too fat. Even though I wasn't overweight, I was technically because of height and weight ratio. So anyway, I studied travel so I could travel. Worked in a travel agency and absolutely hated it. Just wasn't me. I didn't like the office environment. So I saw a poster advertising Princess Trust 6-week courses, 12-week course, sorry, to help people basically find their direction. And from that, I ended up working in the outdoors for about 15 years. So mountaineering, climbing, kayaking, all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
All those kind of things. And then I kind of got to the age where I was like, I want to settle down. I want a family. I want a home. I need to stop doing seasonal work. So I actually ended up training to be a youth worker and working for the Princess Trust, delivering the courses that I'd been on myself to give back to young people. And then the recession hit, unfortunately. And at the time, I was going to a well-known gym down south there and working with a personal trainer. I've battled with my weight since I hit puberty. And having gone on to uni, found out that can happen for certain children. You know, the hormones kick in and the imbalance and the weight comes on and things like that. And that's what happened to me. So yeah, recession hit, and of course the funding went for the courses and the youth work and everything. And my personal trainer at the time just said, I think you'd be amazing at this. You know the battles people face. You're real. You're not a stereotypical size of a personal trainer. You're human. And you've been through those battles, so you can understand people. So I did a 6-week intense personal training course. Whilst I was working with her, she introduced me to the Herbalife products, which is what I use with my clients. And having tried everything out there, this was the only thing that worked for me. I didn't feel like I was on a diet. I didn't have to count points, calories, sins. Everything was worked out for me. It was amazing. So I decided to sign up and use that alongside my personal training. I did personal training for a while and taught fitness classes and things like that. Moved up to Yorkshire from Hertfordshire for a job in a gym. And again, that didn't work out. I went to uni to further my personal training skills to take me to the next level and look at like strength training, working with people with injuries, and we did like cancer rehabilitation, the psychology side of things, and that's more what I like to understand why people do what they do or don't do what they want to do.
More often it is the don't do, isn't it?
And then unfortunately had an injury which put me out of personal training for about a year and affected my mental health. And then it just carried on with the Herbalife because it was something I could do from home. And stuff. So yeah, that's what's led me there. And now launching a face-to-face nutrition club. I've got an online one and now launching a face-to-face one with them at Enjoy Community Hub at Tenterfield Business Park.
Fantastic. Wow, there's so many changes there and so many things that I didn't know about you as well, which is amazing. So thank you for sharing that. Maybe we just kind of rewind a little bit, because one of the things that I find really interesting through everyone I talk to is that they often have an idea or a vague idea about what they want to do. For you, it was travel, and it was to be an air hostess, and then life just gives different opportunities or different barriers. So in terms of how you felt when you were told that you couldn't be an air hostess, and what's interesting as well is that Claire and I have met through online networking, and I only know kind of that part of you, so I've got no idea how tall you are.
5'2" 3/4. That 3/4 is all very important.
Yeah, getting that 3/4, that is so important. So when you said that, I was thinking, gosh, I never considered. Well, you don't, do you? You just talk to people, and so that's really interesting. But so when you were told that, I mean, that must have been quite a blow, particularly at a fairly young age as well, to be told that you just don't kind of fit the mold. How did you cope with that?
It wasn't easy. I mean, I wanted to do that. I wanted to also be an actress, which I was told I wasn't allowed to do at college because it wasn't a proper job, and I had to have a backup plan. And so I do theatre as a hobby. But it wasn't easy. I knew that I wasn't the slimmest of people. I was always going to the gym. I don't really enjoy the gym, but I used to go with my friends that were in the same situation as me, and we wanted to, lose weight, and we were battling and things like that. I'd go swimming. I was active all the time. I just couldn't seem to shift the weight. Me and my friends were always out on the bikes. When we growing up, we were always out on the bikes, on the skates and things like that. So it was quite hard to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, do you know what? There are other ways that I can travel. So I kind of went in to do an MVQ in travel services and work in a travel agency, thinking, oh, cheap holidays and all the rest of it. But yeah, it wasn't for me. I don't know that I would have I don't know that I would have coped with the traveling so much, because especially on overnight flights, I did a stint as a support worker and I had to do nights, and I just didn't cope. So I think sometimes the universe sends you that curveball for a reason. And I probably would have been all right with the days, but it's hard enough when you're just going on holiday and you've got to deal with the body clock changes to deal with that.
It's a tough job, it is tough. I mean, if anyone ever flies with me, I just fall asleep. So it's not a job for me. I just sit down that bit. No duty food, no drinks, no food.
No, and having spoke to a friend that worked for BA before COVID and before getting ill himself, you don't really get the long periods of time in each country. You might only get a day, and then you travel. You're sort of trying to recover from the long flights and things like that. So it's not as glamorous and as it is made out to be, and that. So yeah, it was tough at the time, but it happened for a reason, and that's what I need to reflect. We need to think about.
Yeah, Absolutely. I mean, the reason I was asking you that was that, I know that now you work very much around kind of the mindset around weight. And, even when you're chatting and talking about that, you're talking about battling and losing weight and the constant sort of like pressure to be a certain shape or a size or whatever, which all does take its toll on people's sort of how they feel about themselves. So now you work obviously with the nutrition, the exercise, but very much around the mindset of it as well.
Yeah. So we look at what we call the bridge model. So what you've tried in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and where you want to be, and how we can bridge the two together. And then my upline runs a course called Light Minds, which is all about tapping into your inner GPS to get to where you want to be. But also, for years, again, I beat myself up if I had a treat. And it was like, because I'm on a diet, I shouldn't be eating this, I need to go and work it off, and it's like, no, it's okay. You're allowed to have that treat, or like at the beginning of the year when my granddad passed away, my head just wasn't in thinking about what I was eating and that. And that's where the Herbalife was fantastic for me, because I didn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Things like the evening meal, it was like, oh, what can I just throw together? And it wasn't always the best choice, but in that moment it was. So it's helping people realize that in any given moment we're doing the best we can. And sometimes we are only human. We've got a lot going on. I'm single, but I'm constantly on the go and stuff, and sometimes I take on too much and get overwhelmed. And then I don't stop to think about what I'm eating and how I'm dealing with that. I just eat, and sometimes it's not always the best choices, and that's okay, So it's very much working with people to accept that we are only human, We've come out of COVID, and a lot of people have gone back to their old ways of being busy and things like that. And sometimes we just need to go, yeah, do you know what? I've messed up. It's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point about, you're doing the best that you can at this point in time, and none of us are perfect. We've all got our flaws, and there are times which are, we don't eat as healthy as we can, as we know we should do and would like to. But hey, as long as it's not a continued habit for years and years, then hey, it's not a problem. And I think when you look at something like food and diet, and you look back to everybody through their childhood, or there's so many things that we carry with us, and food is used quite manipulatively in some cases. And it is about, oh well, that's a treat, or that's not good, and all these kind of words that we carry with us, and those attitudes, which even if you're not conscious of them, often they're still there, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah, subconsciously. And if you've been brought up, like you say, about food being manipulated, or not an affluent, so parents have kind of struggled themselves, so they've done the best they can. You might not be taught the best options or how to cook. I mean, I'm very fortunate that my parents were caterers, and mum always did baking with us. Although when me and my sister moved out of home and we tried to cook for them, they'd always turn up earlier than we told them and end up taking over. But but from that, I've learned. I feel I've been fortunate that I can experiment a bit more. Whereas if you've not been brought up around that, and it's very much, I do the cooking, that's it, you stay away, or you've not been allowed to help. You're very restricted in what you can and can't do unless you sort of experiment yourself, and sometimes you have to experiment and go, no, that really didn't work, or I never thought about doing that. That actually is really nice.
Yes, that's unique, but maybe we won't be having that every day.
I've done that a few times. So yeah, and this is the thing, it's the stories we tell ourselves, it's the stories from our past, and it's about letting them go and going, right, that is the past, this is the future, and how do I want to move forward with my mindset around food, and what relationship do I want with food? For me, from the age of 14 I was on a diet, and the word diet to me just instantly like restrictions, points, calories, sin. So for me, it's a lifestyle change.
Yes.
And for me, that works better. For some people, they're okay with the word diet, but for me, because of my teenage years, it's flipping that word.
Yeah, I think that the word diet for most people has got those connotations of restriction, of a bit of guilt, of that whole sort of somebody's controlling. So I can totally see that the words that we use are so important, and the words we use with ourselves. Sometimes we throw in words and don't really think about it, and yet they are so important. And like you said, a lifestyle, we need a healthy lifestyle, or looking for the positives rather than losing weight. I guess it's all about what you gain from taking control of your health and well-being through nutrition.
Yeah, and it's not just weight loss. It's there's a lady that we know through networking that admits she's skinny fat, so she's extremely athletic. But her diet, her food and nutrition, it can be shocking. And this is what we do with people. We make people realize that the food you put into your body has so many more effects than just the weight. It's about the what we call the visceral fat, so the fat that you can't see, that is life-threatening, that's around the brain, the organs, things like that. It's about the energy levels it gives you. You've all heard the saying, low mood, bad mood, bad food. And it's true. You're getting those crashes from the sugar and things like that. Or the other hangry, you're really hangry.
I get really hangry. If I don't eat on time, and I have to eat, quite frequently. My partner can go without breakfast, lunch, he can just go till the evening, and it doesn't really seem to affect him. Whereas there's no way I can leave the house or even start my day without having breakfast. By 10 o'clock, I need some, a little snacks. I always go. Well, I don't always go. I try to go. I aim to go for something healthy, some fruit and stuff. And I have to eat at 12 because, otherwise it's you're not going to get the best out of me. And I've got a very, very good friend who suffers from terrible hunger. And when the red mist descends, you've just got to have an emergency food stash.
And this is the thing, isn't it? Again, the stories from childhood. You don't snack in between meals. You'll ruin your dinner. You'll ruin your tea. Actually, there's so much misinformation out there. And you saying about your partner can go all day. Well, actually, from a health point of view, that's not good.
No, I know.
Breakfast is breaking the fast, if you like. Yes. So we fasted whilst we were sleeping. And actually, by having a breakfast that is balanced between your fats, your proteins, and your carbs, that regulates your blood sugar levels throughout the day. That then reduces your risk of things like type 2 diabetes, because your blood sugar levels are regulated. You've got more energy to focus through the day. You've got the focus from the mindset because, your brain's got fuel. The way I say to people to look at it, because I like analogies and things like that, is your phone can't run unless it's charged. Like, you can't use your phone unless it's charged, or a vehicle can't go unless it's got diesel, petrol, or now electric.
The right fuel as well.
Yes,
I think that's
exactly.
a great way
diesel
to look at it.
in petrol, it's going to eventually give up and not go, and you're going to ruin the engine. Your body's exactly the same. It is an engine that needs feeding the right foods at the right times. And again, like you were saying, like, you need to eat at regular time. I eat every 2.5 to 3 hours, and everyone's like, really? I'm like, yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. Like, I'm like a baby, right? Clockwork. And again, you go back to the word diet, or, I need to cut out the snacks. I need to cut this out. No, actually, I eat more now than when I was bigger. And when I was dieting, I just eat more of the right foods.
Yes.
So, and that's the big difference. And it is a minefield unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think, there is just so much information available now. Even more so than ever. We can all just go on any social media platform and get 101 different ideas of how we should be improving our lifestyle through diet and nutrition. And it is trying to pick out what works and what doesn't. What is fake news and what's not. You look at some things and think, really, can that actually work? And
Yeah.
you just sort of think, and I guess if that's probably the feeling, then probably it doesn't work, but, or
Yeah,
it's not sustainable either. I think that's the big issue, isn't it?
definitely.
How long can you
Yeah.
sustain this?
And that's what we look at doing is changing your lifestyle so it is sustainable. So if you have got a family, you want to enjoy meals with your family. You don't want to be cooking 3 or 4 meals, especially if you're a busy parent that works full time and stuff. So it's about, right, how can we fit that in? What meals can we do that is going to suit the whole family?
Yeah.
Is going to keep you on plan, so it's very much working with the individual and giving them guidance, if you like. So I don't coach people, I guide them. I very much work with them on their individual needs.
Yeah. And going back to some of the other things that I know you did a bike ride. Are we allowed to mention the word bike now? I know that for a while that was sort of
Yeah.
You seem to do an awful lot of sort of challenges and all that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, so I did. We can't mention it yet. You're fine. So at the end of May, I did a 100-mile bike ride. It's an organised event called Ride London 100. So it was 100 miles around London and Essex, and I did that for the brain tumour research. And I do a lot of challenges for that charity because my mum 10 years ago was diagnosed with a brain tumour. So it's a charity very close to my heart. And I just think if you're going to raise money, you've got to do it in a fun, out there way. And that comes from my guiding years of, come on, everyone does bake sales. Everyone does this. Let's do something completely different.
Yeah. And also, often with a lot of the fundraising, which is great, and I love cake. I won't be, I can't deny it. But sometimes you think, well, actually, if you're raising money for a charity that's actually eating cake is probably not the best thing to do, then it doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, and I like to push myself outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to go, right, can I do this? And there were moments in my training that I just thought, I can't do this. I cannot do this. And if I was doing it for fun, then I probably wouldn't have got around the course.
Yeah.
But because I had a reason for doing it, it pushed me even further outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about pushing myself and challenging myself of what stories I tell myself of I can't do, when actually I'm proving to myself, no, you can do it.
Exactly. I think it's also a great example, and also why you're so passionate about what you do right now is having that sort of that purpose, that reason to doing things, whether you call it your why, your purpose, whatever, but it's the reason that you do what you do. And I think, having that strong connection, like with the Brain Cancer Trust, and every week on a Monday we used to catch up with clients. How's the training going? And some weeks it was, yeah, brilliant. Other weeks it was, yeah, right. I can't say what she used to say, and I won't tell you what she said about how she felt in certain areas after the bike ride.
I haven't been on the bike since.
Have you not?
I really
She
need
just
to.
keep looking at it and thinking, "Ooh, that's smart."
Yeah.
Oh dear. So we've had. Moving on then from more personal matters. Oh dear. Oh, who's that?
Murphy's having a little. Oh, yeah, we're all right. Yeah, it's a bit like a hairball that cats get.
Oh, blimey. Because that's another of the multiple things that you do as well, is look after dogs as well.
Yeah, so I've got 2 at the moment. I've got a Cocker Spaniel called Murphy and a lurcher called Mr. Bones, who's rescued, who's coming to live with me full time after my holiday.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Mr. Bones. Well, they've both been pretty well behaved, actually. I mean, we've not heard anything from Mr. Bones.
He's gone. He's had his 2-hour run this morning. That's it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I just go down to the field and he just tears around, goes in the water, and that's it. Yeah, I know.
That's me done.
Sleep. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's great. Like I said, he's a rescue dog, and now he's got his, fantastic life, and he's home with you as well. So that's lovely. Good old Mr. Bones. So you've already kind of talked about a lot of top tips throughout the discussion, but we've just got 5 minutes left. So I just want to, if there was one thing that you wanted to leave people with, what would that be?
Read food labels. So don't take it at face value. They have the traffic light system, but it's actually more complicated. Have a look on the back of the ingredients. The more ingredients that you'll find, the more rubbish in it.
Yeah.
And the first 5 ingredients of a product is the main ingredient. So if the first ingredient of a product is sugar, it is mainly sugar. So just be aware of food labels. It's something that boggles a lot of people. Yeah. And we come up against a lot. It looks healthy, and some products claim they're high protein, and you turn around and you're like, there's 3 grams of protein in this. How is that high protein? To me, high protein is like, for a snack, 10, 15 grams. So yeah, read the labels. And if you struggle with that and you want any advice, then please let me know. But look at the ingredients, because the first 5 is the main point of it.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? All the branding, using different colours to make things look, and certain imagery makes you believe that it is healthy, and it might be higher protein than it was last year, but by how much?
Yeah, like by 1% normally. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a good tip, because sometimes you look at the traffic lights and you think, yeah, that doesn't, but looking behind that, although the new thing about having all the calories on menus, I must admit I find that a little off-putting.
Again, calories, because you could eat a bowl of fruit and it'd be say 500 calories, and then you can go and eat sweets that are 500 calories. So actually there's not the nutritional value there.
Yes.
And I don't think calories, I don't agree with them putting calories on like the food and stuff, because actually it's not relevant in some respects.
Yeah, it's not helping you make good choices, is it? It's just kind of, again, it's that sort of like, oh my goodness, I can't eat that. Or you eat it and then you see them and then you feel guilty. And it's, again, it's that whole sort of negativity that we need to get away from.
Definitely. And it's like, on the traffic lights, it may look like it's healthy with fat. The fat content might be low. But as you flip it over, the saturated fat is high. So yeah, I think they should scrap calories on food, because it's not the nutritional value.
No.
So yeah, you need to look at the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for that. That's yeah, absolutely. Just and I think actually when you do start to look at the back of food and you see what's in it, particularly when you're looking at a big chunk of text there, even if I haven't got my glasses on, you can see more and more and more. You think, that can't be good, So definitely less is more on that one. And we've just literally got 2 minutes left. So tell us just a little bit about, if people want information, how they can connect with you. And you said you're starting a new program as well, a face-to-face club as well.
Yes. So people can either message me on LinkedIn, or my business page on Facebook is Across the Miles. I use Facebook more. But either way, they can contact me. I do have Instagram. I'll be honest, I don't use Instagram. There's just too many platforms.
I don't use Instagram, is it?
But yeah, so we run an online nutrition club where we offer a free wellness chat to people, and like I say, find out more about what we do, where they're at, and things like that. Because if someone is wanting to change, but they're only sort of on a scale of 1 to 10, they're only like a 3 or 4, no matter what they do, they're never going to change. So we're very honest with people and say, look, until you're more motivated, we're not going to work with you. And then after I go away a week today. So after that, at Tenterfield's Business Park in Ludden Foot, Enjoy Community Hub, they do your homeschooling there. But I will also be running from 7:30 till 10:30 in the morning, a face-to-face nutrition club. So the same as online, but people can come down and have a full body scan. So we look at your weight, your hydration, we do your measurements, we do your visceral fat, we do your photos, and all that. And when people go, oh, my photos, I'm like, don't worry, no one has to see your photos until you're ready to show them. But it just shows you the shape change that you go through, which is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that'll be Friday.
Wonderful. Well, in the last 15 seconds, it just leaves me to say thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. The dogs have been amazing, so thank you for that too. Thank you, Murphy
Louise.
and Mr. Bones. Yeah, and it's just really interesting to hear about your journey and, you know, some of the things that you've built on throughout the years. And I think the, you know, just the key things that came away from it was, you know, also just, you know, we're doing the best we can at this point in time, you know, ditch the guilt as well. And that's true for so many aspects of our lives. And also really linking into that purpose as well. So it's been lovely to catch up with you. Half an hour always goes so quick. So have a lovely weekend, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday, Claire. And I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.